Going on, Ole Miss fans? This is Zach Morath, Billy Kuehl over there across from me, and then Parks Burcham down low. We're tuning in just after the Manning Center. What a day! Lane Kiffin comes out with the statement. Look, he's been gone for quite some time. It's been weird. I think heads probably should have started turning the second he was delaying that extension. But he releases a statement, essentially putting all the blame on Keith Carter. Weird statement. But again, this whole situation's been, relatively strange. We're going to get into it. I mean, Billy, what the hell was the scene like at the Manning Center, boss? I'm curious.
10:55, I showed up, and it was Ross Dellinger and Marty Smith and myself. So the scenes all day just kept getting crazier and crazier. Every time I was sitting there, I was like, when people started showing up, I was like, oh my gosh, this isn't the media. These are just fans that want to be here. So
right.
That showed me a lot. Overall, though, the vibes were pretty high. You can't players were there, and they were coming out, and they were like, we're going to win the Natty. It's the Pete Golding era. The first guy that came out, I really could not tell who it was, literally just goes, Pete Golding's the coach. Straight up told us. Zero media. He kept that nothing to himself. So
yeah, I mean, and look, I mean, we discussed it a little bit before the pod, but yeah, I mean, Keith Carter and the athletic administration can now take this $15 million Lane Kiffin contract that they were going to use and redistribute that. So give, Pete Golding, let's say, it sounds like that deal's basically done to make him the head coach. He comes in around 12 million, and then you're sitting there with $3+ million that you can distribute to this entire offensive staff to retain them, retain the team and keep them in check for this playoff run. Again, because of this update and the staff retention, I don't think there's any reason Ole Miss drops in the college football playoff rankings. Again, I'm not saying that's not going to happen. ESPN's been relatively weird about this through the entire process, so I can't tell you, but those rankings are coming out Tuesday night, and then Selection Sunday after the conference championship games next week. Parks, are you happy, sad, or how do you feel about Ole Miss not playing in that conference championship after one of the craziest chokes I've seen from Auburn in every aspect of the Iron Bowl?
I really don't have a feeling because it would have been nice to go to the SEC championship. Don't get me wrong, but part of me thinks if we went to the SEC championship, it delays the whole Kiffin dilemma, if that makes sense. It pushes all that back, and so we have to worry about that on top of preparing for the SEC championship. Now, who wouldn't want to see their team compete, get that rematch against Georgia, this time for the SEC championship? But I think we're going to be okay. I think we're going to still have a good spot in the playoffs. With everything that's happened, like you said, we're going to have a head coach, we're going to have players, we're going to have our staff, we're going to be fine, we're going to do great. So
right,
it's not really a big deal to me. But it'd been nice to go. It's one of those things.
It is what it
nice.
Is. I think
100%.
I think it saves kind of that argument for people to let's say Ole Miss had a bad game in the SEC championship. It takes that away to be like, oh, like they're a different team without Kiffin, because I don't think that's going to be the case. A couple of things I can confirm from on site. I had people in my mentions. They're like, you just looked at the players' social media. Like, no, I was talking to the players on site. Kiffin was not at the meeting, as well as George McDonald, the wide receivers coach, was not at the meeting. Nick Savage, strength coach, you can expect him to leave along with Billy Glasscock, the GM of the football organization. But for the most part, like I just said, for those of you who are just tuning in, you can take this money that was being funded in Lane Kiffin's salary and go and retain your guys like John Garrison, Joe Cox, the tight ends coach, who's been phenomenal. Joe Judge has been a crucial part of everything. I'd assume he has a role with us down the road. And, well, it may have been great to go get a guy like Sumrall or one of these younger coaches. Retaining Pete Golding basically lets you retain that entire staff, which gives you a really good chance for next year to get a lot of these players back. Because you got to remember here, Billy and Parks, like the team really retained, I think 2 starters was the number.
Yes.
So a lot of these guys, you look around the rooms, like, right, I mean, Keywan's probably a guy who's going to leave, but, outside of him, you got Shakai Mills-Knight coming up. You got Deuce Alexander on the outside. A lot of those young up-and-coming offensive linemen. And then the defensive side, completely to a next level. That D line is, built with underclassmen, and retaining Golding and the current staff gives you by far the best chance to, keep those players versus where, let's say, Summerall took the job. He's going to bring in his staff. It's going to kick out a lot of Golding and his guys. And then Summerall's going to bring in those former Tulane players. So keeping Ole Miss guys, keeping Pete Golding here, who his wife went to Ole Miss, the whole thing. In my opinion, it really is best case scenario. Do you put any thought into staff retention, Billy? I mean, how much does that weigh into this?
I have a lot about what you just said, actually.
Yeah.
So it's the staff retention to start off, big thing. The thing about allegedly they are doubling whoever stays salary for the offensive side, so that Lane can't pull them out. I also think the alleged ultimatum of if you're not on that plane with me, you don't have a job. I don't know if that got out or not. But then you also look at the player retention as you were talking. I did not see Kiwan out there. I saw Shakai Mills Knight and Caleb Cunningham walk out together. They seem to be just like taking it in. They're freshmen, so like I can understand why they're just kind of like don't know what's happening. Not don't know what's happening, but they're a little less outward.
Yeah.
But Deuce Alexander was someone I was a little worried about, and now not so much. As he was driving away, he gave a fist pump to the crowd, like
yeah. I think Deuce is fine, man. We interviewed his dad over at therebelwalk.com. He runs a wide receiver training camp over in Atlanta. I don't think, in my opinion, just based off a couple different things, I don't think Deuce got the ball enough this season. And quite honestly, I think he can kind of agree. Every time they threw it to him, it felt like he made an unbelievable play. Like, I don't understand why he wasn't getting it over. And then you pair that with Kiffin's antics, I probably wouldn't be the biggest fan of that. And I'd be pretty fired up to stay as well. And he comes from a really good family, like I said. So I think, like I said, man, keeping Golding and distributing that Kiffin salary to double the offensive staff, it allows you to get guys like Deuce back with no problem. And that probably wouldn't have been the case if you went and hired a different coach. I want to talk yesterday. I thought it was pretty disappointing, the whole game day stuff. Saban, who a month ago said, we can go find the quote, but a month ago, Lane was like, yeah, there's really no difference in staying at Ole Miss or going to LSU. And then a couple weeks later, he's sitting on the set of College Game Day talking about how great the LSU job is. Herb Street's doing the same thing. It's strange to me that ESPN, the people who are saying this, are also the ones who get to decide where Ole Miss is going to get ranked in the college football playoffs. Any thoughts or concern? I don't know. It looked weird to me, Parks.
Oh, yeah, it was very weird to me. I've seen this multiple times, but it's kind of crazy when Pat McAfee is making the most sense in any situation. Because, I mean, it just like Kirk and Saban yesterday saying he should still get to coach even if he is leaving. Like coming from Saban, that's real crazy considering, when Kiffin took the job to leave Alabama, he was not allowed to coach the national championship under Saban. It's real. But now he should be able to.
Yeah.
Going to LSU, SEC rival, one of our biggest games of the year every year. Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Lane left Bama to go to FAU, so they have no correlation, and he still wasn't allowed to coach. What, like you said, what in their right mind makes them able to think he's going to go coach at LSU, but coach us in the playoffs?
That's one of the most ridiculous things I've heard. Again, it's the day of the transfer portal, so now you're going to let Lane Kiffin basically recruit your entire roster for another month. And then again, it delays the coaching search, which he already did. Like, you took away the option to go get a guy like Summerall, Golish, whoever you think of a name, right? I mean, because of how long Lane delayed that, it basically pushed that all out the window. Hayden Grubbs in the chat asks, what about Trinidad? What about Trinidad? Yeah, it's a good question, man. First and foremost, I think it starts with, is the waiver clear? I've heard great things. It's trending in the right direction, but nothing's been official yet. I would think the relationship he has with Joe Judge, if you imagine that Judge and a couple of these offensive guys come back, there's no reason he doesn't stay. Especially, I think Trinidad's a guy who keeps it real. Like, for example, after the Mississippi State game, he says, "I hate Mississippi State." Like he has that raw emotion. He's a D2 kid. So we'll see. Again, I'm not concerned at all. Ole Miss has a lot of money right now that they're saving based off of letting Kiffin go. I mean, his demands and salary were absolutely ridiculous. And now you can take that, distribute it into offensive staff, put it in the transfer portal, retain the high school recruits. I'm really not too concerned with the state of Ole Miss football moving forward. You can sit here and talk about how much Lane Kiffin elevated the program, but at the same time, we're right there matching it with them. You look at what the Grove Collective did in 2023, bringing in the #1 transfer portal class. There's really no debate that understanding Kiffin was great, but the Ole Miss fans they're gonna step up to this. And bottom line is, there's a lot of money in the bank right now to make an impact for next year. My question for either of you guys: what is the scene going to look like on September 19th when LSU rolls into Oxford next year?
Oh God.
It's going to be awful. Awful.
Terrible. Like way worse than when he rolled back into Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to say the least. I don't.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It might be the most hostile game in Vaught Hemingway history.
Like, in my opinion, you thought the Florida one was bad. I mean, it takes it to a whole nother level, dude.
This one's even more personal.
Right.
Yeah, way more.
Yeah, this is actually ridiculous. Another in the chat, Simmons changed his profile pic. Yeah, Austin Simmons, man, got to give him his respect. Changes his profile picture to Joe Judge, but he's a guy. He hasn't gotten his way from the second he got here. He had to wait several years behind Jackson Dart. Doesn't look great. Trinidad takes the spot, and now he's sitting here, the first guy to say that he's not leaving, changing the profile picture. Got to give your credit where it's due. Again, still a really good prospect, and a guy who could definitely slide into that quarterback role next year, depending on what happens with Trinidad. I want to go back to the Lane Kiffin Twitter announcement. Any thoughts? I mean, I know we touched on it before the pod, but at Parks, what do you throwing Keith Carter under the bus is relatively strange.
What are we doing? You're acting like this is his fault? His? That he's not letting you coach this team in the playoffs? Come on, man. Come on. It's so bad. Like, I was reading the first part of the statement. I was like, okay, it's going to be respectful. We're going to get out of here. He's going to be gone. We're going to worry about Pete Gold. And then he goes in and making it all about himself. Keith Carter denied me coaching the playoffs, even though the team wanted me to do so. Well, the end of the day, he didn't have their best interests.
What's up, Bill?
My request to do so was denied by Keith Carter, despite the team also asking him to allow me to keep coaching them so they could better maintain their high level of performance.
A couple guys may have said that, but I can confirm for every listener, there were a majority, I would say 70% of the team who would not want Lane Kiffin coaching them if he took the LSU job. And Evie, our boss, shout out Evie, she said it last night. Imagine LSU. They make the playoffs and their coach wants to go take the Ohio State job. And do you think they'd let him coach the playoffs? No. Like, you got to look in the mirror at some point and keep it realistic. That was just completely unbelievable. And then I want to backtrack here. The Lane Kiffin, the 2026 hats, the velvet ditch stuff, it's absolutely unacceptable. And I'm curious to see how LSU fans handle this. Their traditional program, Brian Kelly, again, look at the past couple coaches. They're not on social. No coach in the country is doing what Lane Kiffin's doing on social media. How do you handle that if LSU shows up one day like Ole Miss did against Kentucky and drops an absolute free? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what does that look like in a day in Baton Rouge, fellas? Let's start to imagine this.
I honestly can't tell you because, well, one, I've never personally been to Baton Rouge. Zach, have you?
I've been there once, yeah.
So what's the scene kind of like? Give us a
I haven't been for a game day, and I was going to go next year because I thought the schedule was going to flip. But again, they're coming here, and
Yeah.
I don't even want to know. We talked on. I don't even want to know what that's going to look like. Real quick,
they're not really the most accepting of losing, you know.
Right.
And I don't blame them. They are a historic program. They have every right to be a damn good football team year in and year out. So I understand why they have such high expectations. So I'm scared because like sometimes like the grass isn't always greener. So you know you just got to find out.
No, it's 1,000%. Lane's a destination addict. He's always going to be looking for the next best job, and if he doesn't bring a national championship to LSU, I don't know. He's probably not going to be there for a very long time, in my opinion. Pete Golding in the chat here. What do we think about Golding? We touched on it a little bit. I have no problem with it. I think Pete's a guy who's learned how to maneuver the transfer portal. You look at what he did with Walter Nolan, Prince Iman Trey Amos, all these different people. In addition to that, the high school recruiting is levels of what Lane Kiffin did. No disrespect. You go back and you look at the classes, look at the defensive line right now. Will Eccles, Cam Franklin, Xavier Harris. These are guys who've been recruited and retained by Pete Golding. Jam Brown's another one. He's done an unbelievable job. I know he takes a lot of heat for the Bama days, which is strange to me because Saban's also the defensive play guy over there. Whatever. It's really just bottom line is who can you retain from the offensive side. But like we've been saying, it sounds like a lot of that money that was going to be funded into that Kiffin contract is going to be redistributed into retaining offensive staff, keeping this team together for the playoffs. And then if you win round one of the playoffs, is the next game is it New Year's? Is that round 2?
Could be.
I think so.
It's got to be, or around that time. And then within the next week, the transfer portal opens. I also think this is super important because signing days are all across December. And that gives you your best chance to, retain defensive players, all these recruits, even on the offensive side, if you keep a lot of that staff. So that's going to be interesting. I want to ask you guys, either Parks or Billy, does Ole Miss keep a home playoff spot without Lane?
Yes, there's no shot that they take an 11-1 SEC team and they give it to Oklahoma or something, who we beat.
That would be ridiculous.
It would be insane. I mean, this team has earned it. We're 11-1, not 10-2. We are 11-1. We're better than most of the SEC. We're better than a bunch of teams. We need a home playoff game. We've earned it. I personally think we should be within the top 5 rankings.
I agree.
But I don't see that happening, but I believe we're top 5 at least.
Thank you. Real quick, thank you for that. Sounds like Charlie Weiss is staying. That's
big.
Another aspect of this. Like, again, Charlie stays, and at what point Lane's a great guy, great coach, great coach, really good stuff guy in terms of the football world. At what point do you look around and give the credit to the staff guys who have done an unbelievable job developing these players? So you can't really fault a team for that. And Ole Miss has one loss to the University of Georgia, who's absolutely rolling right now, playing in the SEC title game next week in Atlanta. Yeah, it'd be a disservice to the sport. I also think it's going to feel pretty strange because Ole Miss is pretty quickly going to become a Cinderella team here, which I don't think, we saw it in college baseball a little bit a couple of years ago, but this is like a whole new level. I got a buddy from Kansas already texting me, dude, I want you guys to win the Natty because of this. Like, it will be that on a full scale. So there's going to be a little that magical sense in the air. And no one believes Ole Miss can do it without their head coach, but this is a damn good team, led, I believe, by 9 on the road in the fourth quarter against Georgia. And you retain Pete, these offensive staffers. I really not too concerned. Again, I think that first round matchup is going to be favorable as well, even if you are on the road. Like, this Ole Miss team they went on the road, beat Mississippi State was never really close. One on the road beat Oklahoma. One on the road should have probably beat Georgia. If things, the ball goes your way, a couple plays there. So there's a lot. And today really just culminated that entire thing into one day. We saw probably a group of 100 people outside the Manning Center. Players came out pumping their fists saying it's the Pete Golding era. Now it's reported that he's the head coach. I mean, a lot of things done right here. And
Bryson Sanders too.
Yeah, Bryson Sanders.
We're gonna win the Natty.
Yeah, starting center coming out saying we're gonna win the Natty. There's a lot of things that have gone right. I'm curious in terms of guys who are going to make an impact in the playoffs. Parks, you were in Starkville for the Egg Bowl. I mean, this team is rolling right now. I just talk a little bit about, regardless of Lane Kiffin, these guys are playing out of their minds.
Yeah. What I really noticed about this game, this wasn't a Kewan Lacey game. This is a Trinidad Chambliss game. I mean, absolute stellar performance. But a player that stuck out to me most was Stribley. Big, dynamic plays. I mean, it's just incredible. Trinidad actually ran a little more this game. I don't know if you guys have noticed. Yeah. He hasn't been running as much. But to me, when he does a little running along with throwing the ball, he plays better overall. As weird as that sounds, like compared to some of his performances where he hasn't been running as much. Kewan still, though, I mean, had 40 yards, might have been that.
I think
and a touchdown. Yeah, and a touchdown. So I mean, and that big play we was talking about Deuce earlier. 88 yards, was it not? 88-yard touchdown. I mean, just everything is falling into place. Caden Lee getting some big time plays as well. I think all the pieces are falling together, and I think they're going to fall together with or without Lane Kiffin.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Bill. You're good.
I want to touch on what you said about Trinidad and running, because I also talked about that, to some people I was watching the game with. I said, he's so good at running, and he kind of stopped doing it. Like, I feel like he hasn't been running as much. And I think what opens up those deep passing lanes for him all game is the fact that when he dropped back and they weren't there, he was stepping up, forcing the defense to crash down. And it's just a whole dynamic of Trinidad being a dual threat. So
100%. Looking at the chat real quick, round one exit, back to the gutter, go Tigers. Ole Miss made the 12-team playoff before LSU. I don't, right? I mean, what am I missing there? Yeah. But appreciate that. I do think I'm a little concerned, not that I care, but I'm really curious to see where Lane Kiffin goes in the direction of the staff. I said it earlier, but we can confirm GM Billy Glasscock, strength coach Nick Savage, and it looks like wide receiver coach George McDonald are all guys who are going to follow Lane. But Weiss, Kevin Smith.
I actually am unsure about Weiss. I'm seeing too many mixed reports. I don't know.
No, Weiss is mixed. I don't know where he's going to go.
We can't pin him yet.
No, but I'm not pinning anybody at all. Like, we're just free balling here. John Garrison. These are guys who've been with Kiffin for like an extremely long time. And then the defensive staff with Golding going head coach, obviously Randall Joyner is going to be promoted to DC like he should have been at another school a long time ago. He's been a hidden gem in Oxford for a very long time. I've heard Chris Kiffin's going to be the DC at LSU. I don't know if there's a lot there for Lane Kiffin to bring along with him, because if you look at his head coaching career after Bama and FAU, like, he brings a lot of his staff with him to the next school. And he's not going to have the chance to do that offensively, maybe, right? We talked about it a little bit. Glasscock, he's going to. But again, I mean, you look at the defensive side of the ball, that's definitely going to be an area of concern. Not that Chris Kiffin's a bad coach, but it's about having defensive coordinator experience at a really high level. I know Kiffin's had stints at linebacker jobs across the NFL, but it's kind of a different era here in college football. I think the Pete Golding thing was best case scenario. I'll keep saying it. This is a guy who is going to retain the entire defensive staff. I want to get your guys' thoughts on the importance of a guy like Randall Joyner DB coach is another Ole Miss guy, Brian Brown, I believe. I mean, how important is it for the future of Ole Miss to retain these guys? I'm curious what you think.
You hit it right on the nose with Joyner. He's been a hidden gem at Ole Miss. He's been great. I mean, look at the defensive line production too. If he can go out there and do it for everything else too, the front seven, and maybe even upgrade the secondary, because we all know that's been kind of hit or miss this year. So I'm really interested to see where Joyner takes this defense, but I know for a fact that defensive line will become a staple of Ole Miss football for years to come.
Easily. What about Joe Judge here in the chat? Yeah, I think Judge stays. I don't think Judge is a guy who's been around the block, and I don't think there are a lot of people in the industry who have the experience that Judge has that can say, yeah, I'm going to follow Lane. I mean, Judge sees the value in Ole Miss having probably 5 NIL and administration in the country. I say that with confidence, not even from the Ole Miss fan perspective. Joe Judge, I think, is absolutely going to stay. I think he should be the offensive coordinator. Again, that's if Weiss leaves. There's a lot there. I do think in no disrespect, because I was absolutely one of these people, it is a little bit ironic that there's a lot of people who want Charlie Weiss to stay after some of the comments that were said last year about him. But look, it is what it is. Zach, shout out to my boy Carter Brown in the chat, absolute beast. But look, we're going to be just fine. Ole Miss can be fine. I mean, we're kind of just repeating ourselves at this point, but the future of the program it doesn't start and end with Lane Kiffin. It starts with the people who are willing to donate, invest their time and money into Ole Miss. Pete Golding's never going to go. Ole Miss could win the Natty. LSU and Ohio State could offer Pete Golding. He's very much deep-rooted into Ole Miss, his family here. Joyner's defensive coordinator, probably going to be defensive coordinator. Randall Joyner, probably he's raising kids here. He's going to be a guy who I think is going to be tough to pull away from Ole Miss. And then Joe Judge as well. Like I just said, like these are guys who are going to be getting paid because there's a lot of money there that would have gone to Kiffin. And now that's not the case anymore. So you can take that, spend it into NIL, this, that, whatever, the other thing. Last thing I really have for you guys before we wrap up here. If you could pick a potential playoff team to play in Oxford or on the road, I mean, it could be either of them. Who do you want to be that first round matchup?
Is that messed up to say Duke?
No. No. That's not messed up. The ACC, that's like a tough game, but I mean, I don't know. The bids there are going to be real questionable. That's really.
Oh God!
I had a buddy say last night, if Duke wins, they should put another Group 5 school in.
No, you might as well. It's absolutely insane. Go ahead, Parks.
Oh God! If I had to pick any team, God, this is tough. I know this is going to sound crazy because I think it would be absolutely electric here. This is not more so who I'd want to play. This is who I think would be a great game, though. I think a Bama game here would be insane after everything that's happened. I think it would be a great game.
Concerned about Ty Simpson. He can absolutely play, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm scared, though, because if they don't win, do you think a 3-loss team makes the playoffs just because they played in the SEC championship?
It's Alabama. It's a good possibility.
Yes.
Since it's Alabama, yeah.
Greg Sankey would – can you guys imagine that? Holy. Yeah, that would be unbelievable. But look, Bama, Tulane, they're playing, which is strange. I mean, they got a weird storyline as well with Summerall. Looking around the SEC – last thing here before we get out of here, appreciate everybody tuning in. Would you have – I mean, I'm pretty content picking off Pete Golding and retaining the staff here. Would you guys have wanted to explore a guy like Summerall or another one of these young coaches out there?
I think we did the best. I think we did the best with what we had. Summerall basically signed with Florida
Exactly.
2 weeks ago. It feels like a week ago. It feels like.
Yeah.
So I think Lane delaying his decision so much kind of took that away. And I'm very, very grateful we still have Pete Golding on. I'm so happy he's the head coach. I think he's earned it.
Yes.
Absolutely. Marks, what do you think?
I agree with Billy 100%. I think Summerall was gone a week ago. And that's who I wanted. But Pete Golding, if we're like you said, best case scenario, Pete Golding is the guy, and I'm proud he is the guy. And speaking of that, I actually have what Keith Carter posted on Twitter about Coach Golding taking over. He said, "Let's go, no one better, Coach Golding. Excited for the next few weeks and for the future Ole Miss football. Players and staff ready to go, win a natty."
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Hey guys, recruiting is something we didn't really get into, but 4-star 2026 linebacker Anthony Davis Jr. tells me he's shutting down recruitment with Ole Miss football.
There you go. That's what we've touched on, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Pete Golding is an elite.
Shout out my roommate for that, by the way.
Big time right there. Golding's elite in the high school recruiting game. There's going to be times it's tough with a defensive coach because you expect just great defense all the time. But the unfortunate reality is that there's going to be times when the offense is going to outperform you. And it is what it is. But in terms of logistical stuff, having everything in check, having ties to Ole Miss, Pete Golding is absolutely the right guy for that. The very last thing, I promise, guys, I know I keep saying that. Lane Kiffin not showing up to the meeting today.
Not a shocker.
Did you see a specific player's tweet? That was okay. Making sure.
I know we talked about it a little bit, but like that is, I'm really struggling to wrap my head around that.
I'm not. He took notes from his departures from everywhere else on what it was probably best just to get out while he could instead of try to show back up here.
Make a new documentary soon.
They should delete that documentary off of Facebook.
Delete it and just restart. Make a whole new one.
Charity in the chat, Virginia. Yeah, that'd probably be a really good matchup. Again, I think you really can't drop Ole Miss out of that top from that home playoff spot. And if that's the case, you're going to get a favorable matchup. The outside noise is gone. Like it's whether you support it or not, it's gone. So it's time for this team to dial in. You have, when is it? The 20th or 21st? Is that it?
The 19th or 20th.
That's it. 19th or 20th. You have 3 weeks to prepare. And we're going to get those final rankings, like I said, on Selection Sunday in exactly 1 week following the conference championships. Ole Miss is dropping to 7. Ole Miss will get dropped. Good luck against Bama. Look, Ole Miss is in the playoffs. LSU isn't. Ole Miss is going to be playing in 3 weeks. LSU is not. And the administration's done the best possible job to retain everybody to get them prepared for that game. That's kind of where I'm at. Credit to LSU for getting the Kiffin deal done. But, I mean, it's – I don't know. It doesn't sit well for me on either perspective. Real quick, shout out to Florida. I mean, hanging on to this Lane Kiffin thread and finally giving up and then getting Summerall.
That's great for them.
They're like
Summerall is a great
on social media. Like, dude, you got a damn good coach who really cares.
Yes.
I don't.
A damn good program builder too.
Yeah, go watch the post game.
Florida's back.
All I gotta see is the post game video of Summerall getting fired up, and I'm in. I'm like, oh wow, that's my guy. But no, he's won everywhere. I don't know what they're really upset about. In my opinion, realistically, this has gone in the best possible direction for every school. There is no for Ole Miss fans, like we don't have to worry when the Texas job or the Bama job opens up and Kiffin comes on the mic in frickin' September and says, I'm not going to make a decision for 3 months. Like there is no more of that. There are no more tweets that putting Kiffin 2026 and then signing a deal with LSU a month later. Like we can finally take a step back and say, hey, it's over. He's going to LSU. And let's all prepare and show out for September 19th next year, which is going to be an absolute movie. All right. Look, I mean, we've touched on just about everything. Do you guys have anything else, Billy Parks, before we get out of here?
I just want to reiterate that the players are bought in, and they showed that as soon as they exited the Manning Center today. It could have been a media look, but they looked great. They looked happy, and they trust Pete Golding, and I think all the fans should too.
Absolutely. Parks?
I think the fan base is happy. Like, this is the best I've seen, especially the online fan base, in weeks. I mean, everyone is thrilled. I'm thrilled. I'm excited to see where we're going. On to the playoffs we go.
Let's do it, guys. Be sure to follow if you're listening on Twitter. Leave a like, subscribe over on our YouTube channel. David, that LSU game is going to be unbelievable in Oxford next year. As always, stay tuned. Like, we're bringing you guys probably 2 to 3 podcasts a week at this point, covering everything Ole Miss. And basketball is finally coming in full route. So I appreciate it, guys. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. LSU, Florida, Ole Miss fans, wish you guys all the best. Hotty toddy and go Rebs. Thanks, guys.